Dynasty Overload Podcast. Dynasty Overload Podcast. Dynasty Overload Podcast. Dynasty Overload Podcast.
We got a long way to go. And there's no going back to the life we live, the life we already know. We got a long way to go. I'll give it everything. There's nothing left. There's nothing left.
Listening to the Dynasty Overload Podcast.
What up, everybody? It's your boy Razzman, coming at you with another one, yo. Oh yeah. All right, so tonight's episode, guys, Got a special one for you as always. Tonight's episode is just keeping up with what's going on with these dynasty drafts, okay? How's it going for you? I know some of us are in just a few, just a handful. You know, I know some of you guys, 5 is a lot. I know some of you guys, you just in 1. Your boy Razzman is in. Listen, the number's almost embarrassing, okay? Let's just say I'm 36, and I haven't lived as many years as drafts or dynasty dynasty leagues that I'm in. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe I should put the drink down. All right, let's get into it. All right, here we go. Turn that down and let's get right into it, guys. So listen, these dynasty drafts have been going on, and for the most part, you are seeing, or when we first started, you were seeing Bryce and Stroud coming off the board fairly early, usually 2 and 3. Bijan goes first, of course. I want to talk about some bad trends that I'm starting to see. And listen, I am in the camp of, hey, go and get your guy. I'm in that camp. I am. I'm a proud, purveyor of that camp. But at the same time, let's not be silly, right? Let's not do crazy things. I'm in these leagues, and your boy Razzman is sitting here wondering, what's going on? I mean, honestly, what is happening? What is going on? I mean, all right, I'm gonna give you one. So the D Justice League, when we had drafted that league, I had it was so each kicker represented a pick, and they fell in order. So one kicker equaled 1 pick. You was the first person to get a kicker. You had 1-1. As you can see, I'm not sure if you can see it good or not, but I picked the kicker 5th and 6th. I'm thinking that, hey, I'm probably going to get a good shot at Gibbs or JSN at that slot. Neither one guaranteed, of course, because I'm thinking, hey, but I'm thinking one. I mean, just do the count. Bijan, Stroud, Bryce, Anthony Richardson. Okay, or let's say there's no Anthony Richardson believers. Gibbs. So I get JSN. You take Gibbs off, they go JSN, I get Gibbs. Right? You put AR-15 on there, I get both. This is what I'm thinking is going to happen. You know why? Because it just makes sense to me. Just makes sense. I mean, come on, guys. And the reason we're going to get into it is our man, Shilor, Mr. Shilor, always talks to us about getting draft capital. And I want to pose a question to you. A year later, say Bijan is Bijan, okay? So Bijan, say he lives up to all the hype. If he lives up to all the hype, then he's basically a Christian McCaffrey level player without the injury, okay? All right, now let that sink in. Now let's say that Bryce Young and Stroud, let's say they just did better than the guy last year. You guys know I'm bad with names, but the Pittsburgh Pittsburgh quarterback last year. Say they do better than him. Say that they are middling quarterbacks, or say that you saw some great things in them and you're kind of looking at them the way we were looking at, let me give a good name here. because Burrow's too hot. Say we were looking at him the way we're looking at Herbert. Okay, say we were looking at him the way we were looking at Russell Wilson after his first season. You know, somebody who, or let's say they're both Mac Jones level players. Okay, so that's almost as bad as you can get. Let's say that's in between, right? So they're both Mac Jones level players. You realize after the first year in New England, Mac Jones, as far as a dynasty pick, was a high dynasty pick because you were thinking he's going to build on what he has and go from there. If you try to trade for Mac Jones right now, the going offer for the most part is going to be at least a first, right? And that's after a down season. I'm pretty sure after last season it was probably 2 firsts. I'm saying this. If Bijan has a down season, right? And Bryce has a down season, you can't get a first for Bijan, but you'll still get a first for Bryce. Let's say they both live up to their potential. Say Bijan blows people away. Say Bryce has a average rookie quarterback season with great highlights. Who's worth more? In a super flex league, and that's what we're talking, guys. Dynasty Overload podcast. For the most part, we do super flex leagues. In a super flex league, either the price is the same or Bryce is higher. It's not going to be a situation where Bijan is higher. It's definitely not going to be a situation where Gibbs is higher. It's definitely not going to be a situation where or JSN is higher. Okay, listen, let's talk. So I saw Garrett Wilson trades. I saw Garrett Wilson go for 1.6. I saw him go for 1.3. I saw him go for, a bevy of players, 1.3 and 2.3. That's good. The Pittsburgh quarterback, let me find his name too. When I tell you, if you're in the same league, somebody doesn't have a quarterback, they're paying way more for the Pittsburgh quarterback than they're going to pay for even a Garrett Wilson, who was a top receiver last year, right? Why? Because you can put somebody in the receiver slot, but it's hard to put somebody in the quarterback slot. That's why. Because it's a limited number. It's not an infinite number of quarterbacks. There are 32 starting quarterbacks. You got 12 teams. Most people are going to have 2 at least, right? Say everybody has 2. That's 24, right? So now we have what? Another 8. Say 8 of those teams have the third. Now we know that's not always how it happens. Some guys have 4. Some guy might have 5. Somebody's only going to have is 2. Or somebody might even have 3. And guess what happens? Injuries. But what if JSN gets hurt, right? Listen, you might be able to pick up what's that guy? Deontay Hardy. You might be able to pick up a Deontay Hardy and put him in for a couple of weeks. And maybe he doesn't get you JSN numbers, but he gets you something comparable. He has a great 2 weeks as JSN is hurt. And he has a great 2 weeks. Typically, you don't see that from quarterback backups, right? Especially when you're dependent so heavily on your quarterback, dependent on the quarterback, right? So with that being said, guys, to me, and just the facts of the matter is your quarterbacks are going to be valued higher. So I do not understand why you forego the quarterback or the higher position as far as when it comes to equity, as far as trading or just having on your team. the most irreplaceable one is going to be the quarterback. And that's just the truth, right? So this is a draft that we did. And I got the ticker here just showing you guys how everything went. So JSN, Gibbs and JSN goes before Stroud and Young. Now, this is what I did when I saw it. You know, I had to double take, right? Because I couldn't believe that that's what it was. So what I do is I go in there and I'm like, okay, cool. Uh, who wants these guys? That's the first thing I do is basically just put them on and say, hey, okay, who wants these guys? Who wants? I had 1.5 and 1.6. I tell them, I said, hey, who wants this guys? And I also tell the guys in there, hey, and make offers as though I have Bryce Young and CJ Stroud to offer you. Do not make offers like I have 1.5 and 1.6. Sometimes people have to, separate that in their minds. And I repeat to them again, hey, make me an offer as though I have Bryce Young and Stroud on the board for you. Not as though I have 1.5 and 1.6, because that's a different price. And I need them to understand that, because it is. So another one that's going on. Oh, so guys, nobody wanted to pay my price, which I fully understood, because I know it's hard at times to put in your mind, hey, I need to pay 1.1 prices for the 1.5. And listen, guys, I know some of you guys are going to disagree, but no, I do not believe that you can call Young and Stroud 1.5 and 1.6 products. Like, okay, that's where they would go. I understand the argument. You say, well, hey, that's where they went. I'm saying that's not where they should have went. And I'm saying just based off of the value that they're going to have, I can't sell them like they're 1.5 and 1.6. If I do, I'm selling at a discount. Now, call me a bad guy, but that's not what I want to do. I'm not in the business of that. Guess what, guys? All these are paid leagues. I'm pretty sure a lot of yours is paid leagues, and we are all competitors, okay? We are all competitors. I did all that to look up Kenny Pickett's name, okay? But listen, if you go and you trade for Kenny Pickett right now, you can't get him for a second, can you? You need a first, and you need a good first. You could have probably got him for 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4, because they figured they were going to get a quarterback with that. And they might like all of these quarterbacks better than Pickett. They might say, hey, his ceiling is higher, right? But when you had Pickett last year and somebody offered you a first, you said no. He said, give me 2 first, unless you were good at quarterback, right? So this is what I'm saying. I understand that JSN is a great product. I understand that. And listen, now Gibbs is a different thing, okay? Because you might not have a Gibbs coming out next year. Now you got a Shipley and a couple of other guys that are coming out next year. But you have is it Mbuku? The other Ohio State receiver coming out. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. You have the guy from Texas, Xavier Worthy. You have another guy from Oregon. These are guys that's on the same, as far as we're talking right now. We can start talking about them kind of being on the same level as JSN, or if not better. Better tape. You can possibly trade, or I can possibly trade, and I'm gonna fill you guys in on what happens with these two. But I can possibly trade Bryce Young and Stroud, right, for 2 first. Maybe not right now, but as the season starts, the first big game is 2 first, at least, and then let them pan out to their potential, right? So that they feel their potential. 3 first, right? 3. I don't know if that got in the camera. So 3, okay? All right. So And we're just talking dynasty value because you guys got to remember we are building dynasty teams. This is not redraft. We are building and building and building for the future. I'm going to give you something else that I do not like. I understand it, but I do not like it. Kincaid. I'm seeing Kincaid go here at 1.8. I think the highest I've seen him go is 1.7 at this point. Guys, stop drafting Kincaid this high. Listen, I understand. Listen, if you have this bet and this feeling, hey, he's going to be Kelsey. How long did it take Kelsey to be Kelsey? Just a quick question. I would rather, if I feel that way about Kincaid, I would rather let someone else draft him and then come back and try to trade from the next year at a discounted rate. No way am I taking him this high. Listen, guys, and I'm in this draft. I'm going to tell you what happened in this draft. So I come in this draft with 1.5, 1.6. I had 110 and 111. Okay. I'm going to show you a trade I made for 110. So I traded a guy my 110 pick, and I'm going to show you that trade. And I'm going to tell you who I then drafted at 111. And this stuff is mind-boggling to me. Listen, let me I got a button here too. So listen, for the guys drafting Kincaid here, I got a little sound for you, okay? Let's not do it. Let's not do that, okay? For the guys drafting JSN and Gibbs, listen, unless you have Pat Mahomes and and Allen at quarterback, guys, what are you doing? And listen, and if you are capitalizing on people's mistakes, people that are so overzealous and so hype off of these position players in Superflex, if you're that guy that's going to go ahead and grab a Stroud or Young when people are acting silly, or even an AR-15 when people are acting silly, I got something for you too. Because you're smart. I mean, guys, I'm going into these drafts and I'm sitting here thinking,
what in tarnation?
And listen, I really am. And check this out. And thank you guys for letting me use all my sound effects right here. I'm working that out. You guys know that's new to Dynasty Overload, but I'm working that out. And like I said, and I'm being honest, right? So I'm being silly, but I'm also being honest. Sometimes boring, or that single file line is how you get there. What's the quickest way from point A to point B? Straight line, right? And it might not have all the flair of a JSN. And listen, the only one I could probably forgive you for is the Gibbs pick. But if you're picking Gibbs over Young and Stroud, and you're saying, hey, I want his production over the value. Okay, I get that. I do. The only exception for that is if your team is on the verge of winning and you are a running back away. If you can tell me, hey, I am a running back away from winning a championship, and this team is so loaded that I can do that, then I agree. But if you can't tell me that, if that's not the case, then no. I think this is a bad move. And not to say that this is the end of the world. Guys, this is my opinion. But just like I told everybody, I thought Stroud was the safest quarterback in this draft. I mean, he was. Absolutely, he was. Sometimes you swing and you hit, right? Sometimes you will swing and you will hit. And then sometimes you will swing and you'll just be hitting air. You'll fall down because you swung at the air so hard. Listen, you might even hurt your shoulder because you swung at that air so hard. I've seen ball players do it before. Swung at the air. A swing and a miss, right? All right, guys. I'm gonna tell you the next couple of picks. That was there. You know, sleeper on the computer sucks. So the next pick was at 1-9 was Quentin Johnson. The pick after that was Kendre Miller at 110. Now, before I go and tell you guys who I'm picking, and I'm pretty sure you guys have probably guessed it. You probably said, "Hey, this guy is Mister Do It by the Book." So if you feel that way, you probably can guess it. But before we get into that, I did want to show you guys a trade. Now I know you guys are going to probably say, "Oh, this is just a wild trade." You know, it's an outlier. And maybe it is, but this is something else that I want to point out to you guys. This is something else that's going on. And this is something that I think needs to be looked at. Okay. This is something that we need to pay attention to. Okay. And that is this: the devaluation of Kenneth Walker. Guys, I had people coming to me and telling me that Kenneth Walker was running back 2, you know, in the whole league. Running back 2. So when we were doing our drafts, our startup drafts, guys were telling me, "Hey, Kenneth Walker's running back 2." And I'm gonna explain this trade so that you guys can see it or know what it is. I know it's probably hard to see. So I ended up getting Javonte Williams, because remember I told you I had 110 and 111 in this draft. I ended up getting Javonte Williams and Kenneth Walker, and I ended up giving him pick 110 and 2/3, and they were high thirds. But guys, I got something to say about the people that are jumping off Kenneth Walker and selling too low. Cannot do that, guys. I understand that Charbonnet is there. I understand that he has a good chance to be the third down back and be the guy that's on the field in the pressurized situations, right? I do understand that. But so was the guy from the Browns. What was that guy's name? The guy that came from Kansas City. That guy. Who was the main guy? Nick Chubb. Now they both had a good time in that backfield, right? So they both thrived in the backfield. But at the same time, if we're just talking about numbers or skill sets, right? If you say, and they said these guys are going to compete. So if we're talking just skill set, right? Then we have to go. The guy that runs between the tackles better is Kenneth Walker. He did it in college better. He had better tape in college than Charbonnet at just inline and running, right? So you can say, well, hey, I don't want a Nick Chubb, and I can understand that you try to move off of him and do something different. I get that. I do. Had it been Kenneth Walker for just the 110, I would understand, right? And I could almost justify that. If you just say, hey, I just want to wash my hands of the situation. You know, I could get that, you know. But to be selling so low, I mean, guys, I think that's just a bad move. That's just too low. And then Javonte Williams. So if you said Kenneth Walker went for the 110, then you have to say Javonte Williams went for the 2/3. I don't think, and listen, both of these guys are down right now, but I do not think that you sell that low. Again, I have to give the guy that I'm trading with the oh yes, I'll be using my sound effects, guys. All 4 of them, right? But anyways, so could this come back to bite me? It could, guys. It could. I mean, whoever he picked at 110 and these 2/3, they could come back and do great things. Kenneth Walker could be done. Javonte Williams could be finished with his injury, right? So maybe this is a swing and a miss, right? Maybe it is. But I'm also still working with the known. And I'm working with the value, right? Because I believe that I can trade Kenneth Walker and Javonte Williams for more than what he traded them for. And as a matter of fact, the guy offered me a trade right after this for the same two guys. He offered me the 1-7 and the 2-7 and the third and 3-5. So he would have gave me 1-7, 2-7, and 3-5 for Kenneth Walker and Javonte Williams. He said that he would give me basically everything that I gave away plus more for the same two guys. Right? This is what I'm saying. I think he sold too low. And I know what he did. I know what happened. He panicked because of Charbonnet. He panicked. Listen, guys, if I'm him, maybe I try to trade to Vonta and I try to put, hey, and I'm gonna toss you a second. Let me get your 110 or your 111, and then you try to time it right, and then you try to get Charbonnet. I mean, I would so it's like if you're just so out on Javonte that you would sell him for 2/3, then I would rather try to sell him for a higher pick and then get Charbonnet. And now, even if I don't have two backs now, I know I got one. Right? And then try to do something else from there. Because you still have your 2-7. So I'm just saying, you guys, you got to be careful of some of these pitfalls. You know, make sensible trades. Do things that are smart, right? And you just don't want to be giving away things that you don't have to. And listen, and I know, listen, it's something we're going to talk about because I'm gonna also testify of my sins because Razzman commits sins as well, right? I made a dynasty football sin. I traded a quarterback for less than a first, a starting quarterback too, right? This is who I traded. I traded Russell Wilson. I mean, not Russell. I'm sorry. I traded Tua Tagovailoa, and I traded him cheap. I basically gave him away. I gave him away for a 2-3 and a 24-second. And listen, guys, they laughed at me. They had a great time. I need to put me a laughing sound effect in there, right? But they laughed at me. They ridiculed me. It's fine. Tua might go on to have a great career. And guess what, guys? I'm hoping that he does. I'm hoping that he does. When I'm praying, I pray that he does, right? I just don't trust it. I don't trust his head injuries. And yeah, I could have waited till the season and tried to get more out of that. I should have, right? But I was sitting here thinking, man, let me just go ahead and get who I want now. And listen, in that league, I haven't made my pick yet. I know the league is kind of upset with me. But I'm picking my heart versus my head. I'm sitting here and I know that's probably what these guys did. Heart over head. So I'm gonna pick from my head. Okay. So this, you heard it here now, right here on the pod. I'm gonna use my head, not my heart. And I'm gonna make my pick. Okay. Because my heart says Tajay Spears. My head says grab a receiver. I need receivers. And I was sitting there trying to trade down. Hey, I'm going with my heart, guys. I'm going to Spears. I know that didn't go the way we were supposed to go. All right. Regardless. Guys, it's been a great show. Okay. Listen, before we go, before we get out of here, I'm going to tell you guys what I ended up getting at the 111 in that league. And I'm going to recount my first round to you, okay? And these are all capitalizing on people's mistakes. Just capitalizing on mistakes. So here's my first. Bryce Young. Second was CJ Stroud. I'm picking at 5 and 6 now. with my 110, I end up trading my 110 and 2/3. And I think one was early, one was like mid to late, for Kenneth Walker and Javonte Williams. So in my first round so far, I have Stroud, Young, Javonte, and Kenneth Walker. Now, because they decided that they were going to pick Kincaid, right? And the next pick, what was that next pick, guys? Y'all remember? And the next pick was Kendre Miller. And listen, go with your gut. Go with your gut, please. I'm now finna pick Flowers. Give me all the Zay Flowers I can get, right? Especially here at 111. And I mean, Levis is still on the board too. I could be a little sinister and grab him too. Or, you know what? I could also grab Charbonnet to go with my Kenneth Walker. Right? I'm going to go best player on the board. Let's go with Zay Flowers. Boom. So now I have a first round of Stroud, Young, Javonte, Walker, and Flowers. I love it. And like I said, this was all capitalizing on mistakes that people are making. Panic picks. People are picking with their hearts over their heads. And listen, guys, you can benefit from that too. Just don't be the guy that does it, right? Don't be the guy that makes that kind of choice. Choose what's best for your team. Not always what's in your heart. Even though Razzman's going to do that in that second round and pick Tajay Spears. But listen, he might also be the best. He does have a shot at being the best player on the board there too. Because I'm not so infatuated with the receivers, or I would have took one already. That's another time and another show, talking about the receivers in the second round. Guys, listen, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Give us a like and a share, and we appreciate it. It's been your boy Razzman. It's Dynasty Overload Podcast. Have a good one, guys. Out.